Bushfire Recovery Victoria is committed to sustainable practices when dealing with disaster recovery events. As you can see behind me, the Romsey Green Waste Facility in partnership with local government and the federal government is a great example of putting innovative ideas into practical solutions that put products back into communities and benefit Victorians.
This facility was born out of a genuine collaboration of communities, government and the private sector coming together to find a solution that would not only be best practice for government but also for communities who were most impacted by the storms.
We needed a central location that could sort, distribute and pick the best use for different types of green waste, and Romsey provided a central location which made it easy for the end use to be sourced.
This place is just a hive of activity. It's keeping jobs local and we're turning all of the timber brought down in the storms into usable products from the crown of the tree right down to the root ball. We have mulch going to schools, fence posts being provided to primary producers and the root balls creating fish habitat in our waterways across Victoria.
The June 2021 storm had a really significant impact across the Parks Victoria estate. Over 50 parks were impacted by the storms and we had large trees and debris down throughout the estate that caused the closure of a large number of our visitor sites.
The storms and floods that ravaged Victoria last year presented a huge challenge for the government and for how we would repurpose the trees and debris that were brought down. We needed a solution for how these huge volumes of organic matter could be assessed, collected, stored and eventually repurposed and returned to its community.
Johns Lyng Group are the largest disaster recovery company in Australia. We were engaged by BRV as the head contractor. At our peak we had 400 cutting arborists working for us, plus the ancillary trades and transport trades associated with that. Our focus is always in disaster recoveries, feeding the work back through the local community, so our local industry content is over 70% for this program.
With this facility, not only are we seeing the best use of fallen timber, we are also supporting local job creation in the heart of Victoria.
We've thought big, we've acted big, and we feel we've got really big outcomes out of this and set a great example for how we should do business all the time.
We've got two sites, one at Yanar South and this one here at Romsey, and both are central to the success of BRV's State Coordinated Cleanup program.
We've been able to use the Romsey flagship site to really create lots of local jobs, be able to use local expertise, local equipment to the benefit of our community.
Essentially we can cut anything to any size and we'll assess each piece of timber and see what we can do individually with that piece of timber.
The Romsey facility within the Macedon Ranges Shire Council was the perfect solution. It's centrally located and it had plenty of opportunity for expansion to deal with volumes that we were expecting.
Behind me you can see about 1,300 tonnes of timber that's come out of the park, and we're now working with BRV team to mill that timber to use in a range of facilities across our estates. We'll look at using it for construction of information shelters and picnic tables and bollards and things like that to return that wood and product back into the park.
It's really set the bar high for other emergency events that we face. Instead of us all trying to do smaller efforts, we can scale that up in partnership across local governments, working with state government agencies like Bushfire Recovery Victoria, and do it at scale, do it really well, use local people and knowledge and equipment for the benefit of our community.
This is so much more than dealing with waste. This facility is processing trees that have meant so much to the communities that have lived amongst them. And seeing those trees return to their communities as product that is valuable is a great outcome.
This site hasn't just provided benefits for Macedon Ranges Shire Council, but many shires around us that were affected by the storm.
The residential cleanup program, there's over 1,000 sites, which means 1,000 individual residents and a lot of material and a lot of coordination.
Our partners, Johns Lyng Group, clean up the trees, bring them here to be processed, and then that same tree can be returned to the property it came from.
The reason that we want to retain the timber within the park itself is what's come out of the park needs to stay in the park. And normally the timber that falls on the ground stays there as part of that natural process. Because we've had to remove it from a fire risk perspective, the more that we can bring it back into the park and return it back for community value and community benefit, as well as the sustainability of reusing something that it's fallen down on its own accord, then that's a win-win for us.
trees and the debris that were brought down are a valuable resource that shouldn't be wasted, and through this facility the communities that were directly impacted can now directly benefit from the products going back to their areas.